was always my dream that I want to be a fighter pilot. So the day I actually went up in the sky as a pilot, not as a passenger, I was very happy. And the happiness was so much that it was coming down like in the form of tears.
That class, that jazz, that sexiness, attached to a fighter pilot. The aviators that you wear, your entire gears and everything.
So you don't get aviators right in the beginning when you start flying as cadet because this is something which you earn. You don't get
Okay.
it to you don't get to wear it just like that. So when you're a cadet, you're not allowed to wear. You have to earn few things. So the Rayman is one of those things. The Aviator is one of those things. Then there are a few ranges in north. There are a few ranges in the east of India. So there in these ranges, which are big grounds and all that, targets are laid out, and you actually drop live bombs, not the dummy bomb. You retire
Yes.
for 10 years, 20 years, 30, 40, but you will retire one day. You will retire, but this particular thing will not retire from your system. This will never.
Do you miss flying? Sir, you have completed the Holy Trinity for me, sir. Thank you so much. Happy Independence Day to all of you from the iRonik show. It's a really special episode for us. For the first fact is being Independence Day, we had to do a podcast with someone from our defense services, and the fact that with this episode we complete a really pending tick box which is having hosted veterans from all the three forces. We have done episodes with Indian Army veterans, we have done episodes with Indian Navy veterans, and today with squadron leader Shivum Uppal being on the show, we have completed the Holy Trinity. This discussion is really special. This is with a fighter pilot. Squadron Shivum Uppal has been a fighter pilot. We tried to understand what exactly a day in a life of a fighter pilot looks like and the thrill of being a fighter pilot. So as boys, we love, putting on all those gears, riding something really fast. So with fighter pilots, they are living that life. So how does it feel to be a fighter pilot? We spoke about a lot of other things. We spoke about the fighter jets that we have available in the country today. We have kept this episode a bit basic. We have not touched upon a lot about the characteristics of the fighter jets or something like that. We have left the scope open for Shivam Uppal to again come back on the iRonik show. So this is a basic episode. Get to know a fighter pilot, his mindset, what exactly goes on behind the scenes, what exactly goes on, what we see in the movies, what exactly goes behind all the glamour and the sexiness of being a fighter pilot. So giving to you squadron leader Shivam Uppal on the iRonik show. I'm pretty sure this episode will give you a lot of value, and if it does, please make sure that you follow us all across social media, follow us on Spotify, and subscribe to the iRonik show channel and the iRonik show clips channel. Keep watching. Thank you. Squadron leader Shivam Uppal, sir, you have completed the Holy Trinity for me. Sir, thank you so much. Welcome to the iRonik show. We had so many Indian Army veterans, Navy veterans on the show. We started the iRonik show with Marcos, right? Now today with you being on the show, finally, that take that checkbox which I had, really dreamt about or thought about when I started this podcast a year and a half back, that I will have all the veterans from all these three, uh, from our all the defense forces. So now today with you, that's complete. So thank you so much, sir, and welcome to the iRonik show again.
Thank you, Ronnie. It's totally my pleasure. And I was privileged when you asked me, and I thought, why not? Let's just do it. And it's equally pleasurable for me also. Like you're saying that Holy Trinity is completed, and I'm totally honored. Thanks for having me here. Thanks once again.
Sir, honor and pleasure is all ours. Where do we start? So you are a fighter pilot, right?
Yeah.
So that class, that jazz, if I'm allowed to use that word, that sexiness, attached to a fighter pilot, the aviators that you wear, the your entire gears and everything. I mean, we have all seen those movies, Top Gun, or recently your Hrithik Roshan's Fighter and all that.
Yeah.
So tell us the truth. How do you feel when how you felt when you first put on those gears and that aviator?
Yeah. So the gears are actually what you actually see on a pilot is called as G suit, and then
Yeah.
sometimes they wear the Bay vest also, and the helmet, and some other things that they carry while going to the aircraft. But that comes very late. That comes almost approximately, you can say, 1.5 to 2 years after he joins the academy.
Okay.
Because when he joins the academy as a cadet, he initially undergoes 6 months of ground training. Then after 6 months, he goes for his flying training, and then further another 6 months distributed as per the chopper, transport, and fighters. So that is also another 6 months of flying training. So after this whole 1.5 year, the officer gets commissioned, and then they go to different fleets. Fleet
Hmm.
as in chopper, transport, or fighter. For fighters, they go to Bidar, and choppers, they go to Yelahanka, and for transports, also they go to Yelahanka, Bangalore. So over there, it actually starts when you see the gears like helmet, G suit, and all these things. Because till then, they are flying trainer aircraft as
Yeah.
cadets, and they are not flying the fighters. But for the first time, when he flies the fighter, that you can say is Hawks in Bidar, and he flies that as a commissioned officer. So the story starts almost after 1.5 year, and that is for
Right.
people who go after college, after graduating. But the people who are coming from NDA, they in fact get trained in the NDA for 3 years, and then they come to Air Force Academy. And this training for them is for another 6 months, and then 6 months in Hakim Pet. So they have a total of 3 plus 1 year training. But the people who go from college, who go from CDS, Combined Defense
Hmm.
Service Examinations, they undergo this training for 1.5 years, less than the ND guys. But your major question is that the gears and how it feels, the
Right.
feel actually starts coming after 1.5 to 2 years. When you get to sit in a fighter, and you wear the G suit, you wear sometimes when you're flying over the marine areas, over the coastal areas and sea, then you even wear the May vest. That is another thing.
What exactly is
And
that? What do you wear?
so May vest is something which is like a jacket, and
Okay.
it has some equipment which gives the pinpoint location of the pilot in case of some mishap if he ejects or
Okay.
something.
Okay.
So that is generally worn over the marine areas, over the sea and coastal areas, and otherwise sometimes it is worn in normal land operations also, but not always. The total gear is actually you wear the G suit, you wear the May vest, you take the helmet. Helmet has its own oxygen mask inside fitted, and you carry GPS sometimes. Like in MiG 21, we carry handheld GPSs, and you wear a wrist GPS also, which is on your left hand or right hand, generally on the left hand, left wrist. So this includes the overall gear, and the other uniform. And I mean, the normal uniform is overall, which is a complete one piece type of overall,
Hmm.
which the pilots wear, and flying boots, and they have different patches and stickers you must have seen.
Yes.
The
Yes.
patches and stickers actually denote the name of the squadron, the war cry of the squadron, and the aircraft which they are flying, which is on the left or right side of the arm, right or left arm. Then there are a few other things that some pilots achieve 100 hours of flying, 1,000 hours of flying.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that is also an achievement they put on the left or right arm. So there are multiple patches like that. Your name and the wings. The wings are on the left chest. So this is the whole uniform. And um, coming to the aviators, which are the Ray-Ban shades, they actually were made for the aviators only for defense services, Indian defense services by the company Ray-Ban. If you go through the history, there is something like that. I don't exactly remember
Yeah.
what's the history, but very vaguely remember that the history says that Ray-Ban as a company, they made these shades specifically for the Indian armed forces and for the aviators. So you don't get aviators right in the beginning when you start flying as cadet, because this is something which um, you earn.
Okay.
You don't get to wear it just like that. So when you're a cadet, you're not allowed to wear. You have to earn few things. So the Rayman is one of those things. The Aviator is one of those things which you have to earn. You go solo, you become operational, and all these things. Every stage has its own that earning status. So I remember in cadet days, uh, I don't remember if I ever worn officially Aviator because we were not allowed. But in our rooms, in our cabins, we used to wear and do some funny things. But otherwise, when the first time I remember I was allowed to wear a Ray-Ban was when I cleared my stage 3 flying in Bidar. I was a flying officer then, and that is when a Ray-Ban is given to you by your chief flying instructor when you finish the course, when you finish the stage 3 flying in Bidar. I did in Kiran Mark 2, and when it was my last sortie of that stage 3, when I graduated from Bidar, stage 3 flying, Air Force Station Bidar, that is the day when chief flying instructor, along with your instructor, they give you an aviator, and officially, I mean. And I still
Wow.
remember one day I was flying in stage 3, and my chief flying instructor saw me wearing aviator I was about to wear. He said, "No, not right now. The time will come. We'll give you." So I clearly remember that it was when I finished my stage 3 flying, and it was my last sortie. It was a final test, and I was walking back to the squadron. So that is when there is a photograph, there is a proper official photograph taken of the pilot who has finished his training with the
Hmm.
CFI and with the instructor in front of the aircraft. So that is when I remember as chief flying instructor gave me the aviator. So aviator is something which finishes and completes the gear, you as you called it, gears. So that is something which completes a pilot. So it was not easy to get, and definitely it is something you take very seriously and very memorable also. So this is how the whole process is when you start your flying and what all you get slowly and what kind of gears you wear.
So thank you for explaining the entire process how you earn an aviator. I mean, I would have never in my wildest dreams would have thought that someone would have to go through. I mean, would have to earn that Ray-Ban aviator. I always thought that it's a part and parcel, or it's a part of that fighter pilot swag that you put on that Ray-Ban aviator. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for clarifying this. I mean,
Yeah,
this is really new for me.
yeah. Even it was new for me also. We also used to think that what is so big about wearing a
Yeah,
Ray-Ban, but when you actually get something to wear or get something to enjoy after you have worked hard, sweated, and
absolutely.
really earned it, then it gives you a different pleasure. I mean, that was the main agenda of the
Yeah.
instructors and chief flying instructor, that you will wear it one day, but you will have more happiness when you actually do it with a lot of earning and hard work. Right now, if you wear, you'll not understand the meaning of it. So that was the main agenda. It's not that this is some kind of rule. It's an unwritten rule. But the main idea behind this was that we want to give you more happiness when you wear it. So you will be more happy when you wear it once you have earned it.
So let me put it out on record that if this podcast goes well, if you're happy after the end of this podcast and even beyond that, I would personally get a aviator signed from you, and we'll keep it as memorably, and we'll not wear it. We'll keep it as a symbol that I achieved something.
Totally my pleasure.
So it
And
will
you
be
too.
an achievement for me. Okay, so you lived a boy's dream, right?
Mm,
So fast cars, I mean anything. You are probably flying at maybe 3x the speed of a fastest car.
could be.
So how does it feel? I mean, what it does? I mean, did it anyway give you that feeling? Okay, as a teenage or as a boy, always thought of doing this stuff someday, maybe not as an Indian armed forces or Indian air forces officer, but I would have thought about it. I mean, every boy thinks about it, right? Putting on those jackets, putting on the glasses,
Yeah.
driving a fast car, or those sort of stuff. So when you first had that moment, did you go back to and think about it, that okay, this is something that I thought about or manifested? यार ये करना है.
So I remember my first flying experience was in May 2009 as a cadet, and I don't remember the date exactly. If I look in
Mhm.
my logbook, I'll get the date. But that was the first time I took to the skies with my instructor. It was a familiarization sortie, and I remember I kind of cried because I always wanted to be a pilot since birth,
Right.
and I have seen my father flying. He was also a fighter pilot, so I've
Okay.
seen my father flying. I've seen him getting shifted from one base to another base, seeing him in that uniform, G suit, everything. So it was always my dream that I want to be a fighter pilot. So the day I actually went up in the sky as a pilot, not as a passenger, I was very happy. And the happiness was so much that it was coming down like in the form of tears. But that day, I was just experiencing flying because it was a familiarization sortie, and that as cadet you only wear overall and no G suit, nothing.
Hmm.
It's a totally trainer aircraft, so not required to wear G suit and all that. So flying
Right.
started in that. It went through for 6 months, and then once again 6 months in Kiran and Hakimpet as cadets. But finally, then 6 months in Bidar, and finally when we came to MiG 21, when I came to MiG 21 spawn, that was my first posting. After finishing my stage 3, we get posted to the operations squadrons. So my first operations squadron was a MiG 21 squadron in one of the forward bases in Rajasthan, and that is the first time when I wore G suit. Yeah, that is the first time when I wore G suit with my instructor, who was my flight commander. And I remember I put on the G suit, the complete gear, got in the aircraft front cockpit. He was sitting in the rear cockpit, and we went and we were actually lined up. Sorry, on the ORP. From the ORP, we line up to the on the runway. But we were on the ORP and we were waiting for one aircraft to land, and once it lands, we will line up. So I still remember that my instructor asked me that, "What do you think about this aircraft coming for the landing? How was it?" Basically, you have flown now. You have flown for almost
Hmm.
1.5 years before going to MiG 21. So you understand whether the speed of the aircraft is okay, whether the glide angle or um, the impact point, everything is correct with the aircraft which is coming for landing. You understand. You get a little bit hang of it. So when that aircraft was coming for landing, I said, "Sir, everything is fine, but one thing is there: is this aircraft going for a go around because its speed is not reducing?" So he said, "No, you will land with this speed." And the speed was in the region of, he told me, it's 350, 360 kmph.
Wow.
So I was like, I can't do it. So that's when he told me that, Shivam, this is the fastest landing fighter jet in the world, and we land at 320, 330 kmph. So you will be landing in few sorties, don't worry. So that actually gave me chills when I saw that we were parked like this and the aircraft was coming like this for landing. So when the aircraft touched down in front of us and went and decelerated and stopped and taxied back, that moment when the aircraft passed from front of us, it was so fast. It was so fast because till that time I had not seen MiG 21 flying. Till that
Oh.
time, throughout my 1.5 years, I was only flying HPT Kiran Mark 1 Alpha Kiran Mark 2. And their speeds generally are in the region of, maximum speeds are in the region of 500 to 600 kmph. And I don't exactly remember the landing speed, could be around 220 to 30 kmph. And this was 100 kmph, suddenly more. So when this aircraft was landing, went from front of us and landed, it was very fast for me. And it gave me a little bit of chills that, can I do it? Will I be able to do it? But then training happened,
Yeah.
and slowly, after 10 sorties, I remember my 11th sortie was a solo, and I did it. And that's the first time when you go solo in an actual fighter, and you land and you feel like you've achieved something big. But that's when the journey starts getting more interesting and harder, because now you'll fly more and more solo missions, new phases, new trainings, and everything. So the feeling of wearing that complete uniform and G suit actually came almost 2 years after I joined Air Force. And how I felt was, I felt uh, quite scared for the first time when I saw MiG 21 landing. But that fear is good. They say that if you are in the fighters and if you are a fighter pilot, the little bit amount of that fear, not self
Hmm.
doubt, but that fear gives you respect towards flying. That you don't take things complacently. So that
Right.
0.1% of fear is important to keep you very serious and alert all the time, so that you don't get complacent. So that was a great feeling. It was March 2011, almost 2 years, 2.5 years after I joined Air Force.
So as a fighter pilot, even not in maybe in a combat situation, even generally, you are flying at a speed of what you mentioned, 300, 350 kilometers per hour, right?
That is
Uh,
landing speed. But
That is the landing, sorry, 500 to 600 kilometers that you mentioned.
no, so for MiG-21, if I specifically speak, MiG-21's
Hmm.
landing speed is in the region of 320 to 360 kmph.
Okay.
But otherwise, when you go for missions, when you go for normal
Hmm.
sorties, you're flying, your cruise speed or flying tactical speed somewhere is in the region of 750 to 900 kmph.
750 to 900
Yeah.
kmph.
Depends
Right.
from mission to mission. Some missions are low level missions, so at low level you
Hmm.
keep the speeds high. Some missions are medium level missions, so over there you keep your speed around 780 to 840 kmph. At low levels you keep somewhere around 920 to 960 kmph. But generally, if you take average, it is between 750 to 900 kmph.
And so at that speed and at that height, what is the view? I mean, do you really get to see anything, or it's all same to you?
So the views are very different. The view is very different from different altitudes. At
Mm-hmm.
low level, you don't see many things because it is passing by very fast, very at very high speed. So you actually see you have your own point of orientations when you actually go for flying. You prepare on ground what is going to be my point of orientation when I'm flying low. Railway tracks, roads, rivers, lakes, all these things because they don't give you a blurry feeling because they're continuously a long stretch of something.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't give you a blurry feeling. So you actually fly low level, especially low level flying. You keep your point of orientations in mind and you prepare on those things on ground, with the map, on the GPS, and some other things also. Some tools are there on the computers. There are some specifically built specialized computers for preparation of the routes, mission planning, and all that. You prepare your sorties. This is what actually goes in briefing and all that. So whenever you go for any mission, the briefing preparation actually takes 2 to 3 hours, and the sortie and the mission will only take 1 hour. So the time you spend on ground to prepare things is actually 2 to 3 times more than the actual mission time. So when in flying low level, you have these point of orientations like linear features, which are long, which are
Yeah.
not buildings or hotels or some hospitals and temples and all that. These kind of things, that big buildings, blue colored building, temples, and a stretch of continuous society and all those things. A railway platform because railway platforms are built in with sheds and all that. So these kind of things you take as point of orientations when you're flying medium level, like 3 kilometers, 4 kilometers, because from there you can easily spot things and they don't pass by very fast because
Hmm.
you are very high at a good height. So they are just passing by like a normal at a normal speed for you because it's relative, and you can actually see that this is where I should be right now. I can see railway platform, railway line is there, and after
Hmm.
that there will be a small village, and in the village there is going to be a temple which is red colored and all that. So this is how you maneuver through the navigation and reach your target. So at low levels, the point of orientations, which helps you in flying, along with the onboard aid, we have onboard aids like we have onboard GPS and we have wrist GPS. And we in new aircraft there are some new and more sophisticated onboard aids which have come, which I'm not very much aware. But on higher altitudes, you have some other features, ground to map. So we fly sometimes ground to map, sometimes map to ground, depends on if we have an emergency or not. So different altitudes, different point of orientation features, and it gives you a different feel when those point of orientations are passing by. So you prepare all these things
Hmm.
beforehand before going for the mission, and it takes around 1.5 2 hours to prepare for all these things. And then briefing happens in which the complete mission pilots sit and they discuss about what can go wrong. There is a mission leader who briefs that what can go wrong, what are the contingencies, what are the emergencies that can go wrong. We are going over a desert, so desert related emergencies are different. We are going for night flying, so night flying related
Hmm.
emergencies are different. We are going in the flying for in mountainous terrain, so their emergencies are different. So we discuss all those things. So finally, we go for flying and we come back with debrief. This is the whole cycle.
So how does the sky feel or look like from inside the cockpit?
So it's totally blue in the day and it's totally black at night. And you generally don't have in front of your window, in front of your view, you just see sky, different shades of sky, definitely,
Hmm.
because uh, the closer you are to the earth, the sky is not that blue. It is light grayish because of dust, because of other pollutants and a little bit of pollution. It is light grayish, dark grayish, light grayish, and then it starts becoming blue and bluer. So like that.
Oh.
But it's totally blue in front of you, and at night you see totally dark with some stars and moon. And sometimes you get a little bit disoriented at night, because if you are at high altitude and you see the
Mm-hmm.
stars up and you see the ground lights which are down, sometimes pilots start feeling that that is the sky, the ground is the sky, because the lights also feel like stars. So there have been many cases like this in which the disorientation has happened with the pilots at night, especially when there is no moon, when we call it dark night. Because
Mm-hmm.
moon gives you clear picture what is the sky, what is the ground. But when there are days, when there are nights, which is a dark night, when there is no moon, it's only stars and the ground lights. So sometimes pilots get disoriented, thinking that ground is actually the sky and they are the stars, and the sky is actually the ground with house lights and all that. And then mishaps have happened in past, and disorientation takes place. But that is how it feels at night, and during day it's very bright blue, sun is there, very clear. Sometimes visibility is bad. We call it like we have different visibility levels: 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer, 3, 4, 5, and infinite visibility. So these things are briefed to us during the briefing in meteorology briefing before going for flying. That today the sky will be clear, today the sky will be overcast, today the sky will be mainly overcast, not totally overcast, but mainly overcast. There will be clouds or patches of clouds at this altitude. So these kind of different visual features they give us before going for flying. So we are aware that we are going in this sector. Over here, there are clouds at this altitude, and the visibility is low. But sometimes, generally in Rajasthan, if I'm speaking, because I've served mainly in Rajasthan, the visibility is very good. In all the bases of Rajasthan, visibility is very good. You don't see too much of clouds and low visibility, except the December and Jan period when the fog is too much. Otherwise, view is beautiful. It's a great view.
Does that view at any time give you a sense of really, peace or meditative feeling?
Yeah,
I mean, do you really feel like, okay, so this is something that I can get used to, and this gives me peace?
yeah, but actually it does. But actually, you don't have time to
Yeah.
absorb that beauty. The sky, the blue color, and sometimes we see even sunset when we are doing dusk flying. You have these beautiful things. You want to capture them, but you don't get time. And you must have seen the commercial pilots. If you follow any
Mhm.
commercial pilot on Insta, or if you follow any airline Insta handle,
Right.
you will see pilots are clicking beautiful pictures of sunset and
Yes.
sunrise, and very other different beautiful pictures. But this sometimes is not possible in fighter flying, especially in fighters, because you are sitting alone. You don't have any other pilot to take pictures
Mhm.
for you. But when you actually go for uh, trainer aircraft, when you go for any mission trainer aircraft, when two pilots sitting, then one sometimes takes some good pictures. It does give you a very calm feeling sometimes when you're ferrying. Ferrying means that cross country flying and all that. When you're going from one base to another base, just to take off and land. So in that there is no particular mission involved, like no combat mission, no air to ground firing mission, no other kind of mission like close formation or navigation mission. You're just going from one base to another base. You just take off, go to a particular height, put on your
Mhm.
RPM settings to endurance, and you just fly and land at a different base. So in that particular kind of flying, like ferry and cross country flying, you actually enjoy the view. You actually see that things are so beautiful, so quiet. There is so much chaos on earth, on ground.
Yeah.
There is so much happening on ground, and today, right now, I'm so much free from all those things. I'm enjoying the tranquility, total peace. I'm so blessed. You do get these feelings once in a while, but other times, like 99% of times, you're so busy in flying. The missions are so fast. They happen so fast that it's more chaotic sometimes. You feel like, okay, I want to land now. I want to relax.
Right.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's a mixed feeling.
do you miss flying?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, flying fighters is mostly, I would say, 90% people's dream. If I talk to young boys, young kids, when you achieve that, it is something which you have achieved like a dream job.
Right.
But definitely everybody has a certain amount of period in their life fighter flying. Some people fly for a long time. Like yesterday, you must have seen, not yesterday, day before yesterday, you must have seen the Vice Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal AP Singh. He flew Tejas solo fighter.
Right.
And because recently exercise kicked off, the first international exercise that Indian Air Force is hosting for the first time in the history of Air Force is they are hosting now. It has already started in Sulur, and the second phase will be in Jodhpur. The exercise was kicked off by the Vice Chief of Air Staff, who's an Air Marshal, and it's actually a big feat for Air Force.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that everybody has some particular amount of period in their flying. Some fly for 10 years, some fly for 20 years, some fly for 30, 40 years also. But yeah, this never goes out of your system. You have to retire one day. You retire
Yes.
for 10 years, 20 years, 30, 40, but you will retire one day. You will retire, but this particular thing will not retire from your system. This will never. I mean, till date, my father misses fighter flying. He flew Hunters. Till date, he misses his aircraft. He wants to sit in the cockpit. He feels like holding the stick and throttle. This is something which is very different. I mean, this is not a job; it's a way of life. I always say
Yeah.
it's a it's it's actually a passionate hobby. It's not even work. So you miss such things very much. I mean, this will be missed by any fighter pilot all across the globe, not just India. All across the globe, any fighter pilot you ask him, even if he's World War veteran, you ask him today, do you miss fighters? Simple answer with a smile will be yes, till my last breath, always.
I have one question. After that, we'll go back to where it all started for you. So this is a bit of personal question. I mean, I hope you don't mind. You are really young, right? So have you ever tried to show off with your aviators and your all the gears and everything that I'm a fighter pilot, maybe before your wife or before any other woman, your girlfriend or anyone?
When I joined Air Force in 2009 as a cadet and commissioned in 2010, that time these influence through the social media was
Mm-hmm.
very less,
Right.
very less. Insta,
Right.
I think, just kicked off, but we were not aware of it. I came on Insta, I think, in 2016, 17, something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, 16. And Facebook was also not very much encouraged for the armed forces officers to use,
Right.
and especially if you're posted in the border areas like Western border or J&K
Hmm.
border, Eastern border.
Mm-hmm.
So and I was always posted in Western border because majorly MiG-21 squadrons are there. So we are very close to the adversary border, the Pakistan
Right.
border, and all that.
Right.
So the restrictions were high. So sharing these things on WhatsApp or Facebook and Insta was totally out of question. I have not done it except WhatsApp. WhatsApp sometimes you used to put status pictures and all that. So I remember I once put a status picture with two uh, sweet 4 5 year old girls. It was some cotton function. I was wearing overall with all patches and all, and it was like ladies were invited, kids were invited. It was cotton breakfast or something, and I clicked a picture with those two sweet girls, and I actually pasted it on my WhatsApp status. My flight commander saw and he called me to remove it ASAP.
Hmm.
So it was very much discouraged to share your uniforms and all that. But back at that time, I hardly remember if I've done it. I have done it, yes. If you see my Facebook account, yeah, there are a couple of pictures even now. So I have definitely done it once in Jamnagar when we were doing some air to ground combat, air to ground firing exercises. That time, yeah, and once or twice maybe as a cadet. But when the rules came
Hmm.
and the rules were so strict, we saw some pilots getting really good thrashing from commanding officers and senior officers for this. Some people even going for court of inquiries and all. So we decided no. At least I decided no. I'll not do it. But to answer your question, I'm still not married. Never married. So no wife.
Okay. Uh, okay. You're giving a lot of openings to a lot of cracks to get into. Uh, we'll leave it there. Let's talk about more about, since you mentioned that your father was also into he was also a fighter pilot.
Yeah.
So did you first of all, could you please state his name?
Group Captain Jogesh Kumar Uppal. JK Uppal.
Okay. So, with sir and you, with your father and you, do you have any time, fun banter between father and son? Okay, you flew a maybe older version of a fighter aircraft. I flew this. So, do you happen to have those kind of conversations and competition who flew faster or something like that?
Yeah, my dad till date says that there is no better fighter aircraft than Hunter, because Hunter that time was codenamed as the gentleman's aircraft. And till date, I mean, even if you Google it and you say that gentleman's aircraft, it will show a result as Hunter, Hawker Hunter. So he was a proud pilot of Hunters, and he flew it for a very long time. Then he came to MiG-21s also. And I have only flown MiG-21s, and that is till date the oldest fleet in fighter, for fighter per se, in Indian Air Force. It's vintage aircraft, and but yes, definitely I would say that MiG-21 is better because it is faster and all that. But he would show me records of Hunter winning the wars, especially the Longewala War, which was the most famous, the border movie war.
Yes,
Hunters
yes.
actually flew. 4 Hunters were flown from the Jaisalmer base, and they actually defeated the complete, I think, brigade of Pakistan. They shot down all the tanks. So MiG-21 has its own achievements, but we definitely used to sit over, drink sometimes, and talk about it. He used to visit my base in Rajasthan, in Jammu and Kashmir also. I served for a short stint. So he used to visit my base. He used to see the aircraft. He in fact sat in MiG-21 also once, and he would say, "Yeah, this aircraft is good, but Hunter was better." So there was always a competition. There was always a competition, only because MiG-21 doesn't have gentleman name. It has very infamous names like this and that. You must have googled and seen
Yeah, yes.
flying coffin, blah blah. But the Hunter has a very gentleman name, like it is a gentleman aircraft. So he would take pride in that and say, "See that this is the best record that is ever produced by the whole world." So we used to get into these kind of banters once in a while.
So, do you remember your first drink with your father after you
First
got commissioned?
drink. I remember my first drink of life, and with my father, I would say it must be in 2011 when I joined MiG-21. So when I actually joined MiG-21, that was the day I acknowledged that okay, today I am a fighter pilot. But I had actually started a fighter pilot journey 1 year before. But for me and for many pilots, actually, not just for me, for many pilots, the journey actually, the achievement actually comes when you go to first fighter operational squadron and fly solo, and you take the fighter all by yourself. So I think that was a time when I actually went home and I had a drink with my father, and he also told me the same thing, that today you have become a fighter pilot, not 1 year before. And if you talk about my first
Oh,
drink of life, it was with my instructor, Lieutenant Commander Nitin Jain, then Lieutenant Commander, now definitely Captain in Navy and retired now. So when you finish your flying as cadet in the stage 1 flying, so he was my stage 1 instructor. So you are called on. It's called calling on. Calling on is the instructor calls its pupils, cadets, for drink. Like flying is over, you have done your best, you have passed, you've graduated. So now it's time to have a drink. So I never used to drink, never in college, never. So I called my father. I said, I'm going for calling on, but I don't want to drink. I don't drink. So that's when my father told me that now uh, it's Air Force. I mean, this is not something bad that you drink. It is something that you should learn how to hold a drink. There's a difference. So he says, I'm not encouraging you to drink, but you should learn how to hold a drink. So I went there and for the calling on, and I told my instructor, saying, sir, I don't drink, but I hold a drink. I have whiskey. So he said, okay. And I finished 14 pegs that day. For
oh wow, hell yes.
because I was so happy, and I was with my this we call co-pupils. Like there
Yeah,
are, well, each instructor has 3 to 4 pupils. There are 10 instructors and 40 cadets. Each instructor will have 3 to 4 cadets to train them. So we were 4, and we were so happy, so happy that we have graduated today. It was like 6 months were terrible. 6 months were hard work, getting up at 3:30, 4 o'clock, and suddenly now today you are. Each day the instructor used to scold
yeah.
you and bash you, not physically, but bash you in the sense with words and all that, scold you and all that. And today he is asking you for a drink with him in his house. So happy, so relaxed, so peaceful. that everybody drinks a lot. Everybody drinks a lot, but yeah, it's only once in a lifetime. So I remember my first drink. I remember the whole bottle now. 14, 14 fiber, yeah, memorable. Definitely memorable.
So, any further memories of that night, or it's all blacked out?
No, I remember the instructor came and dropped us to flight cadet mess at night around 2, 3.
Hmm.
And next day was normal. Next day was normal drill, parade. It was normal. But yeah, we slept for 4 hours. We all got up and we dressed up and went for normal parade, drill, everything. But memories are
Uh,
this only. Like, as a cadet, you have a very strict regime. I mean, even if you have passed,
yeah,
graduated, but you are still in the academy. Even after graduation, you are in the academy for a week or 10 days. Then only you go for leave to your home. But for that 7, 10 days, you're still in the academy. So all the rules are followed, all the dress codes are followed, timings are followed, the roll calls, the musters, drill, parade, games, everything is followed the same way. The same way, not even 1 minute up and down. So the memory was only for that night. But when the next morning we all, with 3, 4 guys and some other people who had gone to their instructor also night before, when we were going for parade and all that, that day was like totally head was rotating left, right, revolving totally. But yeah, these kind of
absolutely.
memories actually are once in lifetime. You should enjoy. You should keep the rules in mind and
Yeah,
you should enjoy them as much as possible. This will not come again. I mean, this
absolutely.
cadet phase comes once in life, and when you become officer and you become senior flight lieutenant, squadron leader, you become supervisor in flying, then you actually look back and say that cadet days were the best days. Like today, you say school days are best, but when you are in school, you say so pathetic. I mean, I wake up, I go to school, study,
Hmm.
exams. So it's the same way for us. The cadet days will never come back. So if you have achieved something, you graduated, you earned, enjoy it.
Hmm.
And that's what the main agenda is of calling on that. You have worked very, very hard for 6 months. So now 6 hours of drink is something which you have achieved, you earned. So enjoy that.
Okay. So my first, I first heard this term squadron leader when I was, you might remember that movie of Shah Rukh Khan, Veer Zara.
Yeah, visa. It's called a
So
Veer
he was
Pratap
a
Singh.
he was a squadron
Called
leader,
it a
Veer
Veer
Pratap
Pratap
something.
Singh. Huh? It's called a Veer.
Veer Pratap Singh. Yes, that is when I first heard about this term.
I was in college that time. I think, yeah, it was somewhere in 2003, 4. Yeah, I was not in it.
Around that time, yeah, around that time.
Yeah, he was shown as, I think, chopper pilot, not pilot, but
Yes, yes.
something like that.
He was a chopper pilot. He was into rescue missions and all that.
Yeah,
Okay. Now going back again to your journey. I mean, obviously, seeing your father, wearing those gears and flying these high flying beasts and fast flying beasts, oh, that would have definitely, triggered inside you that okay, this is something that I would like to do and experience this someday. But then when again you get into your NDA and all those, your training start, was there ever a moment that you thought uh, this is not something that I thought ki I'll have to go through so much to get to that point? Was there ever a moment?
yeah, definitely. A very simple answer, yes. I
Okay.
I remember when I was boarding a train from Chandigarh.
Okay.
After clearing the CDS and SSB, the merit comes, the call letter comes. So I got the call letter that joining is in Jan 2009. So I was boarding a train from Chandigarh direct train to Hyderabad by Air Force Academy. So when the train just started at 12 kmph speed, just started. So my dad asked me a question while walking on the platform side by side parallelly with the train that why do you want to join Air Force and why do you want to become a pilot? So I said this is not the right time to ask. I'm already off. He said, no, tell me. I said because I just want to fly. I don't want to study. Enough of studies.
Yeah.
So he said okay, all the best. And I reached Air Force Academy and it was Saturday. We were asked to reach on Saturday maximum because Sunday was
Yeah.
preparation and Monday the classes will begin. I reached on Saturday. Sunday rest, set up your cabin. Monday you go to flying faculty. When I reached the flying faculty, when all of us reached the flying faculty, all the cadets, flight cadets, we were given 6 books, 6 or 5 books. We were given this thick one book. at least 400 pages and 6 subjects: avionics, aero engines, aerodynamics, and all that. And I thought that this is just for reference purpose. Like sometimes you want to study, read, and then the classes began, and then the studies, exams, viva. Oh God! And I called my dad one day from the PCO booth of the academy that, where have you sent me? This is, I didn't want to study because I've already done BTech computer science and it's enough for me. I don't want to study further. This is a complete college. This is Subah we go in the morning. We go to academy, flying faculty at 7:38, and we are studying till 2. Then we come back. We have lunch, and then sometimes in afternoon also we are going. And then all Saturdays or alternate Saturdays, there are exams. I said this is a complete semester. So I said, welcome to Air Force and welcome to flying. This is the field where there is maximum study all across the world. And your studies will never get over. You become an
Yeah.
officer, you become flight lieutenant, squadron leader, wing commander, commanding officer, whatever you become, your studies in flying in aviation will never get over. So that is the first time when I felt that I've come to wrong place, and I was cursing myself. Then the studies were so interesting, they were so good, they were accompanied with flying. So in the morning you used to study, in the evening you used to fly. So it was such a good combination. Sometimes, yes, little overwhelming, but that is how you uh, go through. I mean, this is a phase. Your instructors were once cadets; they passed through the same phase. My seniors passed through the same phase, so that gives us a motivation. If they have done it, so we can also do it. And you have 30, 40 course mates with you, your course, your
Right.
batchmates. You get along with them, and you all, as a whole, you keep boosting each other's confidence. If somebody is low, you motivate and inspire people, and you get it done. That was the first time. And second was when I went to fighter training wing, FTW, Hakimpet. So I remember it was night flying going on, night flying phase, and we were 15 to 20 cadets. It was 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. We finished our flying, and we were all sitting in that workstation. Workstation is a room in which every cadet has his own cubicle, and he studies there. He takes on some notes in the diary and briefing. He prepares his blue book, logbook, etc. So there are 15, 20 workstations, and that whole room is called workstation room. So that day we had finished our documentation, everything, and then in the center there is a big dining table, a huge dining table with 15, 20 chairs. And we were all so tired from flying, from finishing documentation. It was 2:33. We all came to dining table, sat, and we did heads down and we slept, all of us. And that's when the flight commander came and he rocked our piece. He said, "This is not a place to sleep," and all that. He gave us a good scolding and a good amount of bashing. So that day when he left, he gave us some tasks and he left. Well, the no pack up before sunrise and all that. So that day we all actually looked at each other and said that we have come to wrong place. Why did we take Air Force? When you're filling the form for CDS and NDA,
Yeah.
there are three services: Air Force, Army, Navy. So we all took the Air Force as first option, and then we were sitting after 2 years like this and getting scoldings, and it was not getting over on me. So that is the second time when I felt that why have we come here? What have I done in my life? But that is just a phase, only a
Mm.
phase, only a phase. Today I am retired, but my course mates, they are instructors in academies. In fact,
Yeah.
they have cleared that also now. They are senior instructors in other squadrons and all that. They give the same kind of training to the cadets because it is not just about how good you are a pilot. It is also about how can you handle the pressure. Because this is not a civil aviation academy.
Mm.
This
Mm.
is a defense academy, and over here, military aviation is very different from civil aviation. You just not need to take people from point A to point B. Over here, you are doing some really important things. A chopper will take care of, in the toughest of situations, they will take care of the humanitarian missions, rescue missions, search and rescue missions.
Yeah.
The transport will do on a daily basis troop carrying, equipment carrying, which is very sensitive operation. The fighters will do another kind of sensitive operations that we have witnessed recently in Balakot, etc. So this is what they teach us in academy. The instructors and chief flying instructors and seniors, that it is not just about carrying people from point A to point B, not a normal routine kind of route sorting.
Hmm.
It is something which you're doing for the national security. So you need to be somebody who has a very strong mental strength, because there are no hours, and sometimes
Yeah.
you will be placed in a little bit of war zones and all that. So you learn these things when you become officer and you become senior.
Yeah.
But at that time,
Absolutely.
you're just a cadet. You're just a boy, 21, 22-year old, and you curse. But later on, you realize
Yeah.
that those instructors become your best friends in life. And they say the same thing, that after 10 years, you will be doing the same with the other cadets, with the only purpose to make them stronger, both mentally and
Hmm.
as per even in flying. That's the main agenda. That's it. The main idea is to make you a better and better form of yourself, both mentally and physically. So these were two
So
occasions when I felt that, oh, what have I done to myself? I was a BTech. I would be sitting somewhere. And yeah, on top of that, I forgot. I made some very good friends in college, my batchmates, computer
hmm.
engineers who were in Infosys, Wipro, big companies, and they would send me messages. That time, I don't think WhatsApp was there, but they used to call me and say, "What's going on?" I said, I'm actually sitting and preparing my logbook." So they say, "On Sunday?" I said, "Yeah, there is no Saturday Sunday here." So sometimes I would say that till morning 2 o'clock I was running around the aircraft and tarmac. They said, "My God, what is this life?" And I used to ask them, "What were you doing on Friday night?" "We were chilling. We were having a drink. We were in a pub. We were watching movie." So then I would compare and I would say that I was same. Even I got an offer from Infosys, I rejected. I would be doing the same thing, but today I am running in my gear and flying till 2 a.m., tired and getting scolding from instructors. Sometimes I'm becoming a murga. Sometimes I'm haunching at 2 a.m. Oh my God. So this comparison used to give me a little bit of uneasiness, but later you realize that this is military in the end. Whether you're a pilot, army, navy, sailor,
Yeah.
soldier, in army, infantry guy, armored guy, or a Air Force pilot, or anybody, engineer, Air Force engineer, ground. It is military. It is going to be different from civil, and it should be different.
So we have spoken about it in a bits and pieces, but could you just walk us through what a day in the life of a fighter pilot looks like? I mean, I'm talking about when you are already a fighter pilot after that 1.5 years of your training and all that.
Yeah.
So what does a day of a fighter pilot look like?
So day starts early, around 5:30 generally all across India. The day starts early for pilots in general and for fighter pilots also. The briefings generally is the first thing that happens in the day. The briefing is the first thing in which you attend all kind of briefing. Like it starts with the ATC briefing, air traffic control briefing, that which runway is in use and what are the other things that we need to keep in mind, that this particular taxi link is closed today, some maintenance is going on, and this taxiway is in use, runway in use, this one, and there is bird activity, etc. Second used to be the meteorology briefing, in which the meteorology department officer will take us through the weather of the day. That, oh, today we have clouds, today we have bad visibility in this region, today there are chances of rain in the second half, in the noon, and all that. Then third would be signals briefing, in which a person from signal section will come and tell us that these radio equipments are there today in use, the radar is serviceable or not, all these things. And in the end would be the squadron briefing. Like squadron also has two kind of briefing. One is the aircraft briefing, that these much aircraft are available today, and after that, in second detail, the aircraft will be reduced or increased or something like that. And finally, used to be the mission briefing, the fifth briefing. The mission briefing is actually when the mission leader will walk us through today's mission. What is the mission? Who is flying that mission? That is already decided a day before.
Yeah.
So the flying program is made day before for the next day's flying. So for example, it is Tuesday. If you're talking about Tuesday briefing, so the Tuesday, who is going to fly what mission, who is in that particular mission, which formation, that will be made on Monday evening, Monday afternoon. So then mission briefing takes place. So this whole process is the first step. Briefing is the first step for any fighter pilot or any pilot. And after that, you go to the flying clothing room, you pad up, Pad up is when you wear the gear, complete gear, the May vest and G suit, and helmet and all that. You wear the complete carry your GPS. So that is the second part. And third is you take your pre-flight meal. You are not advised to go for any sortie and mission with your empty stomach. But if you wake up in the morning around 5:30 and you're going for
Hmm.
briefing, then it is very unlikely that you will eat something in the breakfast because it is too early. But by the time you go to the squadron around 5:30, you reach, or 6 o'clock, you reach for briefing, and the briefing gets over. It is already 7:30, sometimes 8 o'clock also. By 8, you start feeling hungry.
Hmm.
So you advise to take your pre-flight meal, which is juice or nibu pani or coffee, some sandwiches or light parantha. Not very heavy breakfast, not heavy breakfast, just a pre-flight meal. And then after having that, you go to the ops room. And ops room has details about which aircraft is there for which pilot. The name of the pilot is written in front of the aircraft number. You sign some documents. There are 2, 3 documents which you sign, and then you go towards the area which is called as dispersal area where the aircrafts are parked. Over there also, once again, you go to a particular office and you sign some documents that I'm taking this aircraft. And the person who's responsible for the aircraft, the engineer, he will explain you if there is anything you need to keep in mind. If a day before there was some snag in the aircraft and now it is rectified, so he'll warn you that yesterday there was a problem. This problem A, it is rectified. Everything is fine now, but keep a check on it. And finally, you walk to the aircraft. You do some external checks of the aircraft. You see the undercarriage, you see the intakes through which the air goes inside, you see some other things which are protruding outside the aircraft like pitos and all that. You check the wings, you check the engine from behind, the jet pipe, you check the wings, elevators and everything. Basically, you do a complete walk around of the aircraft, and you know things what you're checking because that is what is taught to you. As
Hmm.
a pilot, you are told that these things need to be checked, and like this it needs to be checked. You check few things with a torch also. Once you have done all this, you wear a helmet, get inside the cockpit, and do some checks, start up, and taxi. And after that taxi, you go for your mission, you fly, you come back, taxi back, and then the briefing happens. So debrief happens. In debrief, it is more important than sometimes more important than briefing. I would say almost more important than briefing because debriefing is all about who made what kind of mistakes. Was the mission achieved 100%? Was it not achieved? Why was it not achieved? Who made a mistake? Why did you make this mistake? Is your understanding not good about this particular maneuver? So over there, it's a complete analysis, complete root cause analysis of each person who's involved in that mission. That this shouldn't be committed. This kind of mistake should not be committed again. But for that, the instructor, the mission leader, they will understand your mistake. They will understand why you did so. Suppose you had to turn left, you turn right in a particular maneuver. So he'll try to
Hmm.
understand why you did it, and then he will tell you that not to do this, do it like this, and all that. So this is debrief. So this is called one complete detail. Briefing, go for flying, finish your mission, come back and debrief. This is one detail, and then you will have your maybe food or something, refresh, have water, and then there is a break of 1 hour or so, and then you will go for another detail. Same process: briefing, mission, debrief. So like this, the day goes, and normally a pilot in a fighter squadron, he generally does about 2 details, sometimes 3, and then it's almost lunchtime. Then after lunch, if there is another detail the flight commander has planned around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, you go for once again for submission. And if there is no flying plan, then sometimes there is night flying plan. So
Okay.
once you've finished the day flying, you go back to your room, rest, relax, take a nap, sleep for some time. Come back, and you come back for night flying. If there is night flying, it's not that night flying is daily. Night flying
Right.
is generally, I think it varies from squadron to squadron. Sometimes in some squadrons it's twice a week, somewhere it is thrice a week. So if there is night flying, you come back, you do the same process, and then you come back home, you relax and rest. If there is no night flying, then in the evening you go for some sports, you go to gym, you go for a run, you play squash, or you go for some physical fitness activities. That is very important because
Yep.
you take a lot of toll on your body in a sortie 3G, 5G, 7G, 8G. Generally, we don't go beyond 7G maneuvers, but 6G, 7G, 5G is quite normal. And you do that twice a day, and that too for a long duration, like 40-minute sortie, 50-minute sortie. It's not that completely for 40 minutes you are under 5G. No, it's not like that. It is in bits and pieces, like 20 minutes, and then there will be 2 minutes of some high G maneuvers or something like that. But still, it takes a lot of toll on you. So you need good food, a good diet, good sleep, and good exercise to come out of it and stay fit. And once you come back from your fitness run or something like that, then dinner on time around 8 o'clock and sleep on time. Because once again in the morning you have to wake up around 5 o'clock or 5:15. So advisable number of hours for a combat military pilot is 8 hours or 8 hours. So 7 to 8 hours roughly should be your target. So you should sleep by 9:30, 10, wake up by 5, 5:30. So that is how the whole day goes. A very disciplined one. Very there are a lot of timestamps. You follow the timestamps very religiously, and it is done 5 days a week. Sometimes in some areas, like where the training goes on, for example, the Air Force Academy and Bidar and Hakimpet, over there sometimes even Saturdays are also like the same. Otherwise, it is 5 days a week. In operational squadrons, you cannot write sacrosanctly that only 5 days a week is flying, because operational squadron is all about getting operational tasks and missions from the headquarters. So if there is some task associated, then you fly on Saturday also.
What kind of physical activities do you typically? I mean, is the physical activities or the exercises that you do as a fighter pilot, is it different from what everyone else does?
No, no, no. It's not like that. But just that one thing should be very clear with you, that your abdomen has to be very strong. Because when you're pulling the G, when you're actually doing a high G maneuver, you have to tighten your abdomen muscles, because that keeps your diaphragm close to your heart, and it doesn't let you black out. It doesn't let you gray out and all that.
Okay.
So otherwise, if you go undergo 5G, 6G, and you don't tighten your muscles in the abdomen, that is the stomach muscles or abs, then uh, the pilots generally black out. But before blacking out, they start graying out, and before graying out, they start getting into uneasiness. Basically, your vision reduces, your eye vision reduces, and it starts graying out, blackout, and then finally it's a G lock. And G lock is something in which pilot is totally incapacitated, or you can say in layman English terms, he has fainted in the cockpit, and the aircraft is out of his control. And sometimes the pilots have gone to ground and died in fatal because of this G lock and gray out and blackout. So if it all occurs because your abdomen muscles were not tight and they were not strong. So this one thing fighter pilots keep in mind, that their exercise is a little bit different from other people only in this aspect, that the abdomen muscles have to be strong. It has to be always fit. So generally your abs, your running, or a little bit of weight training, they keep your abdomen muscles strong. So that is one thing that we keep in mind, that because we use the abdomen muscles almost daily, 10 times, 20 times, because in one sortie you will be pulling high G at least 4-5 times. And if you're flying 2 sorties in a day, then you can say that 10 times you're activating your abdomen muscles, say abs. So by continuously practicing also, they become strong, no doubt. But on ground, to have another level of fitness, people run, people play games like high cardio games like squash, badminton, running, and some people, like I used to do weight training in gym and abdomen training, abs and all that. So everybody has their own way of staying fit, but the final aim, majorly, of fighter pilots across the globe is to keep their abs muscles strong. That is the savior.
You mentioned that flying in high G, when you say 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, 7G, I mean, that's a level of gravity that you're trying to explain, right? And to just for everyone's sake. So, what exactly going into higher gravity, how does it take toll on your body? What exactly happens to you?
So I'll just explain simply that right now, we, everybody on ground, we are experiencing 1G.
Yeah.
It's 1G, it's not 0. So 1G is simply that on your head, almost a normal reaction to the ground is your weight. The amount of force that your body is experiencing and exerting on the ground is equal to your weight. Suppose you are 70 kgs, so your body is exerting 70 kgs on ground through your head. That's why you're on ground. Otherwise, you'll be flying.
Yeah.
Like in moon, you fly. So the 2G means there is another 70 kg person standing on your head. So now the total amount of weight that your body is exerting on the ground through your head is 140 kgs.
Hmm.
So the pressure on the head is increasing. Now 3G, 3 people standing, 2 people more standing, 4G, 5G, 6G. So if we talk about 6G, which is 5 to 6G is very normal in a fighter pilot's life daily. So that means the 70 kgs person is experiencing on his head
Almost
300.
500 kg.
Yeah, almost. It is 400 to 500 kgs of Newton force he's experiencing on his head,
Hmm.
exerting on the ground. So what happens is that the blood starts coming down from the head because the weight is so much that blood starts flowing down. But to keep the blood up, you have to tighten your muscles, because if the blood is not being pumped to the brain, into the nervous system, into the brain, then without blood, no body part can function. Suppose
Okay.
you hold your hand like this for 5 minutes, it starts becoming pale and white. It becomes numb because
Yeah.
you have stopped the flow of blood to your fingers. The tingling will start, the paleness will start, and slowly the numbness will start. And the moment you open it, there will be sudden rush of blood. You will feel good. So the same thing happens with your brain, the head. The blood starts coming down because of the pressure. The blood is not there, so the symptoms start coming there one by one. Initially, you will be graying out because blood is not there. Slowly, the head will become light and dizzy. Then it will, from gray out, will go to blackout. That means the vision is getting more and more narrow, and you are just seeing black in front of you, nothing else. Cornering of the eye. And finally, you'll get into G log. Eyes are closed. You are totally fainted. You are incapacitated, and your eyes are closed. There is no vision, and you are motionless. I mean, you're not dead, but you're motionless. You're fainted. So this is the feeling that pilots get if they have not tightened their abdomen muscles. Now coming to the actual feeling of 5G, 6G, if they tighten their muscles and go through it, the moment you start the maneuver, before and itself, you know that you have to tighten your muscles to execute this maneuver. Generally 3G above, you have to tighten muscle. Till 2G, you can manage. Till 2G, anybody can manage. But beyond 2.5 to 3G, you have to start exercising your abdomen while flying. So the exact effect on you comes from the head only. Your vision will definitely become narrow. Even if you use your abdomen muscles, it will become narrow because the amount of force on your head is much more than the amount of tightness in your abdomen.
Hmm.
But you train yourself so much that your the vision which is narrowed, it becomes it goes to a particular amount only, not beyond that, because you have trained yourself that I can control and I can keep my vision narrow at this point and not more than that, because continuous training gives you that much of experience and efficiency. So you practice, and then vision will narrow, but it will still be very much sufficient to keep your visual faculties um, almost correct. But the feeling is that the head becomes heavy and the gray out is little bit, not much, and the force on the body you can feel, and your neck becomes stiff. Your neck becomes stiff, and your body also becomes a little bit stiff. So you can't move your neck very abruptly. You have to move it very slowly, very deliberately, and overall, if I have to say, then your physical movement becomes a little bit frozen. But your experience, your practice about your abdomen muscles and strengthening in them, controlling them and tightening them, gives you a lot of advantage. Then it becomes like a second nature after a few
Okay.
years, after a few months only, I would say, not even few years. After a few months, it becomes your second nature, and you know how to tighten it, how to control it, and you get used to that narrow vision while pulling the G's.
So when you're going, in the higher levels of gravity, maybe 4G, 5G, 6G, when you're in that sort of level, so other than, because you're experiencing so much of pressure, your the line of sight, the vision decreases. Apart from your physical body, does it also take a toll on your cognitive thinking at that point of time?
So initially, yes, when you are a young cadet, you experience these G maneuvers, and sometimes you don't know how to handle this G force, and at the same time how to continue navigating,
Yeah.
because these G forces occur not in a straight and level flight. They occur when you're turning hard left, hard right, or doing some kind of combat training, combat turns and all that. You're taking some kind of combat evasive maneuvers. You're doing some kind of combat maneuvers or high aerobatic maneuvers like loop and roll off the top. When you are actually straight and level, it is normal. Nothing is happening. You're navigating, you're selecting your switches as per the route. Over here, you have to select this switch, that switch. I have to reduce my speed and increase, and I have to climb and descend and all that. So, till that time, it is 1G. Nothing is happening to your body. So, but when you start pulling the G, sometimes in exuberance of not graying out, not blacking out, you tighten your muscles and you try to stay in control of the aircraft, but that is where your whole attention now goes. That I don't want to
Yeah.
flee, I don't want to gray out, I don't want to black out. So I just want to be fit, I want to fly. But you forget that how much turn I had to do. If you had to do 90 degrees turn, you will continue turning till for 180 degrees. That has happened with me, that has happened with everybody during training. So that is actually a reduction in your awareness, situational awareness, which we call SA. So this you can say, yes, there is a reduction in cognitive thinking, but this is very much acceptable in your training days, because everybody knows that initially right now the complete focus of the trainee is to keep himself fit and not gray out. So in that, his more focus, maximum amount of focus gets into that I don't want to gray out, and he forgets that he had to actually roll out on
Mm.
this particular course, and his speeds are increasing. Sometimes speeds reduces a lot, sometimes the alpha angle of attack increases. So this kind of handling other things along with not graying out gets affected. But with practice, with experience, you start learning that how do I control my vision, how do I control my G forces, and at the same time I'm comfortably flying, navigating, doing my maneuver with accuracy. This comes slowly. Initially, it affects you for about 6-7 months. It will affect you, but slowly you will gain it, and then you become master of it.
So even when you're a master of it, but there would be situations when you could be graying out, blacking out, or so G-log is the last of the. Then it's completely out of your hand. So
Yeah.
even when you're graying out, or probably in some situations you will have to go to a situation we are trying to black out, right? So as an experienced combat fighter, when do you know that it's time for me to now come out of that higher G and to a lower G so that my senses are completely normal?
Yeah. So actually, that is, I would say, experience give you this feeling definitely, because with experience you understand that how the symptoms actually grow. Okay, because initially if I put a cadet, he will not understand even
Hmm.
if you give him ground training, and there are some other trainings at some very high senior hospitals in Air Force in which these trainings are given. So even if I give him a training on ground and tell him, he may not understand the symptoms until unless he experiences them practically. But
Hmm.
with experience, you understand how the symptoms start growing. Initially, it is a discomfort. Your vision will start narrowing. Second is gray out, further narrow. Third is blackout. The gray vision becomes little blacker and darker and darker and black, and finally blackout. So these are the growth. This is the way the symptoms actually fall towards a complete G-log. So an experienced pilot understands that now, because he has flown for a long time and he understands how the symptoms grow, he will immediately come out of it. The moment he realizes that I'm graying out and I'm not able to control it, sometimes there are bad days. Somebody's empty stomach, somebody didn't
Hmm.
have breakfast, somebody didn't have lunch, and somebody's flying back to back 2 combat sorties or 3 combat sorties. So it happens that with experienced pilots also it happens that they immediately realize that today I'm not able to control my abdomen rightly. And even if I'm trying my best, but still it is not giving me those results which it should. So they immediately come out of the combat, immediately come out of that particular maneuver. If they are solo, they will come out, they do straight and level, drop their RPM, control the speed, and inform. And they may come back and land. If they're in a mission, they will give a complete article to the complete mission package that I'm stopping the maneuver, I'm stopping the combat, something like that. There are different articles for that. But yes, an experienced pilot will take a quicker action because he understands how the symptoms are usually in case of GLOC, because he has experienced that. And this may not be in the case of a young trainee cadet. But that too is emphasized a lot on ground, because before sending solo, all these things are well accounted for. There has never been a case like this earlier, at least to my knowledge, that something like this has happened to a trainee pilot or cadet, because they have given a lot of training, a very high emphasis on training, especially in these flight safety area. This is a flight safety area that the speeds have to be right, the altitude has to be right, the angle of attack has to be right. So these kind of trainings are given with very high level of accuracy. But yes, if we compare an inexperienced cadet or inexperienced pilot with an experienced pilot, he will take action much more quickly than him because of his experience, because he understands how symptoms flow.
Let's talk a bit about more about the missions, right? So when you're even not in a exact mission or exact combat situation, you still are preparing for it. For that, as you mentioned, that every maybe 3-4 times a week you get these missions, right? Which is actually I would believe that those are the practice missions that to get you ready for actual scenario.
Yeah.
Right. So other than your practice, what kind of missions have you been into?
So practice missions are all I have been to. I've never been to real missions.
Okay.
So the real mission.
What kind of missions are given? What kind of scenarios are given?
Practice.
Yeah.
In practice, everything. I mean, A to Z. Your combat missions are given. Your A to ground firing missions are given, in which you actually fire on the actual live ranges, like Pokhran range is there in Jaisalmer. Then there are a few ranges in north. There are a few ranges in the east of India. So there, in these ranges, which are big grounds and all that, targets are laid out, and you actually drop live bombs, not the dummy bombs. Sometimes you drop dummy bombs also, but actually you drop live bombs, which you actually will drop during the real wartime scenario. The actual 1,000 pounders, 500 kg bombs, and all that. Various aircraft have different type of bombs. So you actually drop live bombs also. So these are practice missions, but with live ammunition, the real ammunition. So this is one. Second is your combat missions. You two people will go for a 1v1 sortie, 1 versus 1 combat. The one person will act as a defender, the other person will act as an attacker. So you can easily say that the person is Pakistani and you are Indian, or the vice versa, something like that. You practice this. He will try his best to not get shot down. You will try your best to shoot him down. There is nothing on your aircraft. You're not carrying any weapon. It's just that you place the gun sight on him and all those things, and you see that okay, you have captured him, and then you come and debrief. So these are the kind of missions that we do. The other missions are for fighters. The other missions are like going from one base to another base for detachment sorties. That is a ferry. Ferry missions are there. Ferry of the complete squadron or half of the squadron from A base to base B. This is another. Then there are some other missions also, like which are actually a part of the missions only. Like there are battlefield airstrike missions, counter surface force operation missions, battlefield air introduction missions. So there are many missions, air introduction missions. We practice them on daily basis, so that when actually the bugle blows, we are confident. So that is what we did in Balakot. I mean, I wasn't part of it. So in my tenure of 2009 to 2019, 11 years, no war or no conflict happened. It happened last. It happened was at Kargil. So never been a part of the real wartime scenario, and I'm very happy. Not for me, but for the complete country. Because if a war happens, you have to defend.
Absolutely.
Simple.
Absolutely.
You have to defend. Somebody comes to your land or to your sky, you have to thrash him. But the economy, the life of the people, everything gets affected. Not just a soldier, but so it's good that nothing is happening as of now. But to answer your question, I have not been into any real mission. Balakot was the only thing which occurred during my tenure, but there were some other pilots who were part of it, or some other fleet aircraft who were part of it. But otherwise, every pilot goes through these practice missions almost on daily basis, because this is in your syllabus. This you have to fulfill. You have to get trained.
What is the maximum distance that you cover in a sortie when you are doing this sort of missions?
So it depends on the amount of fuel that you carry and the amount of fuel that you burn per minute. Okay, and in MiG-21, the fuel that you carry is less because the aircraft is small. So
Hmm.
you have some drop tanks and ventral tanks. You carry extra fuel in that. But if you see, you on a normal basis, you fly about 30-35 minutes in a MiG-21. And if you carry your extra fuel in drop tanks and ventral tank, then you can fly about 50 minutes. Sometimes you can go to 1 hour also. And keeping a speed of 750 to 800 as an average speed, half an hour you cover about 340, 350 kilometers. And if you go for almost 50 minutes with your extra fuel and drop tanks and all that, then you can say that you have traveled approximately 650 to 700 kilometers.
Okay.
The average, and in some scenarios of dropping bombs on the target, your speed is approximately 960 kmph. So you can say that you're covering 1 kilometer in 4 seconds. So the speeds are very high during that time. But generally, this is just MiG-21. If you talk about Sukhoi, you talk about Rafale and Jaguars, they have the capability of A2A refueling, even Tejas and Mirage. So A2A refueling actually increases your time in the sky. It increases your distance covered because you can refuel your aircraft in the air itself. So pilots who are in Sukhoi, who are in Mirage and Jaguars, they have flown for six hours non-stop. They have done
Oh.
they have done A2A refilling twice. They will do A2A refilling after 1-2 hours, and then once again after 1-2 hours. They have flown. In fact, my course mates, they have flown for 6 hours, and there are many, not just my course mates, there are many pilots, senior, and in fact right now also they have flown more than 6 hours also. So if your aircraft has air refueling capability, then it all depends on the amount of hours that the pilot can fly for. As per the fatigue chart, there is a fatigue chart that is followed for all the pilots. How much you can fly, how much time you can be in the air, and that also differs from region to region. Suppose you are in a coastal region, it has different challenges. If you're in a desert region, it has different temperature challenges. Then different times of the day also have different fatigue limits. Like from morning 7 to 10 o'clock, if you fly, you will not achieve the orange zone or red zone because it is normal temperature. But
Yeah.
after 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock, you are already in the orange zone and you are about to touch the red zone because temperatures are high. So, as per the zone, orange zone, red zone, and as per the time of the day in different geographies of India, different terrains, the amount of time you can fly is different. And that is decided by some people in headquarters, meteorological department, some people who are experts, doctors, and all that. So, it differs how much you can fly in different region, different terrain, different time of the day. And if you talk about the reach, how much kilometers you can fly, it differs from aircraft to aircraft. An aircraft who has A2 air capability, refueling capability, it can fly very long. An aircraft which doesn't have that capability, like MiG-21, it can fly maximum 50 minutes with all the extra excess fuel, DT and VT, and drop tanks and ventral tanks.
So, out of all the aircrafts that are there in the Indian Air Force, the fighter, no, for the fighter planes that I'm talking about,
Yeah.
your be it your Mirage, Sukhoi, Jaguar, the MiG-21s, now Rafale being there. Which one is the fastest of them all?
Fastest, if exactly you need the number, I may not be able to give you the exact number, but I would say that Rafale would be the fastest right now because it is lighter than Sukhoi. Sukhoi is little heavier, quite heavier than Rafale,
Mhm.
and I think both must be almost close to each other. But Rafale would be faster than Sukhoi if I have to pick one. Exact number, only the original OEM documents and the actual technical
I'm just,
specifications can give. Yeah.
I'm just asking from a larger perspective, which is the fastest. So you mentioned that Rafale, and being so Rafale is one of the latest entrant into the Indian Air Force, right?
Yeah.
So does it also give that benefit of so if it's the fastest, does it mean all the latest technology that we have in the Indian Air Force today? That is also mean that it will have the highest range of flying in terms of it can go to the highest of the Gs or can cover the maximum in terms of kilometers.
Yeah, it does. Rafale actually is closer to 4.5 generation aircraft. It's not fifth generation. And Sukhoi, I would also say it is 4.5 generation. They're almost equal and at par with each other in terms of multi-roles. Multi-role, I mean, when an aircraft fighter jet it gets airborne, it can perform multi-roles in one sortie itself. It can do air to ground firing, then it can engage with an enemy in air to air combat, and then it can do refueling and do some other task in land. So this is multi-role in once he has flown, just once. So if we talk about both these aircraft, Rafale and Sukhoi, they're almost at par with each other. But the weapon carrying capacity of Sukhoi, the number of hardpoints that Sukhoi has, they are more than Rafale. But now all it depends the operational effectiveness of the fighter jet depends on the avionics. How soon can an aircraft pick up a bogey or an adversary aircraft? How strong is the radar? So that as of now, I think Rafale has a better radar, and the weapon carrying capacity. Sukhoi has more than the Rafale, but the sophisticated weapons, which aircraft is carrying which weapons, which missiles, heat-seeking or IR radiation missiles, that somebody who has flown both the aircraft will be able to compare much better. But Rafale was actually bought for this reason only, to strengthen the op capability and the backbone of Indian Air Force. And that's why it is placed on two different, very far apart bases. One is in east, one is in north, for both the adversaries on both the sides of India. Because we know that Rafale can actually achieve a lot once it is airborne. So that's why these two squadrons are not placed close by, or like one is in Ambala, one is in Rajasthan. No. Both are placed on different sides of India for both different adversaries of India. Because and only because of their operational effectiveness that they bring with themselves. Quite a capable aircraft. Very, very capable.
So today, if squadron leader Shivum Uppal is given a choice,
Yeah.
so today if you're asked to pick up one of the beasts and let me make you spoil for choices, let us, out of all the Mirage, Jaguar, Sukhoi, Rafale, all that we have today, let's add your father's favorite, the Hunter, to it. Which one would you pick?
I'll pick MiG 21 anytime. But if
MiG-21.
MiG-21 is phasing out now, so we are in the process of phasing out squadron one by one every year. In fact, I was part of phasing out of one squadron and then another squadron, two squadrons. So once the MiG-21 is phased out, then if you ask me this question, Rafale probably, because it is a very beautiful aircraft. It has. I would like to learn that it can happen now, but definitely it has so much of equipments. It has so much of systems inside it. It has so much of capabilities that any pilot would be willing to learn something new about that aircraft. But what this aircraft from France is bringing to India, what is there that people all across the globe are talking about Rafale, and why did India select Rafale only? That is the most curious thing I would like to know. There was Typhoon, there was Gripen, there was F-18, there was MiG-35, there was Rafale, all in that mother of fighter deal. You remember the deal was called as mother of fighter deal, something like that, $126 billion deal. Out of those 5-6 aircraft, which were the best of each country, the Rafale was selected. So this is the most curious question, and it should bring curiosity among all the fighter aspirants that what is so good about this aircraft. I want to see. So if after MiG-21 phases out, somebody asks me, then definitely I would love to see that what is actually about Rafale. Why is it so good?
I won't go now much deep into it, because earlier we had thought we'll go speak about the aircrafts that are available and their characteristics. So let us, because we have kept it really basic today, and let's keep it that way. But regarding fighter jets, I have just one question with you. So now India, with Tejas, India is also getting into manufacturing of fighter planes. I mean, which is promoting Make in India, even taking Make in India even further now,
Yeah.
with Tejas being manufactured in India. So what's your personal take on that?
I had the privilege of sitting in the Tejas simulator after retirement. I went to one of the bases in the southern sector, which has Tejas. I sat in the simulator, and one pilot was explaining me about the systems and everything, what it has. I was blown away. I mean, I was blown away that HAL, along with ADA, they have produced such a beautiful fighter jet in the world. It is actually very good. Its op capabilities, its thrust to weight ratio, its weapon carrying capacity, its radar, its avionics, the amount of missiles that it can map with, its mission computer, its flexibility, maneuverability, its delta wing platform, everything is so deeply thought of that this aircraft is actually the light combat aircraft. All the aircraft which we see, Rafale and all that, they're not light combat. They're maybe medium or heavy combat aircraft, but not light. So the light combat aircraft gives you another added advantage and merit is that it is faster and it is much easier to maneuver. In case of a combat, you are lighter than the aircraft which is behind you. You can easily maneuver and come back,
Mm.
come behind him. So these kind of capabilities are there in light combat aircraft. So when I sat in the simulator and saw the systems and just did a small flying in simulator, I felt that this aircraft has a lot of state-of-the-art technology, avionics, and is actually at par with any fighter right now in the world in fourth generation. I won't talk about stealth aircraft fifth generation. I won't compare it with that. But if we talk about F-16s and all these aircraft, which are also very well spoken of, very highly successful aircraft, fighter jets in the world, this is at par, definitely at par. And the pilots who are flying this aircraft, and some more squadrons are coming up slowly and slowly. In fact, I don't remember the country. Some country wanted Tejas. They expressed their interest, and
Mm.
we may export it in near future. This only says that it's a beautiful machine, and being an Indian and this coming out of the India, the ecosystem of aviation and aerospace industry in India, this will take a lot of big jump. And definitely, if it has come very late, the project started long back. I don't remember which year, some 15 years back. It has come late, yes, but it has come very heavily and very strongly. This is a beautiful aircraft. It has added to the advantage and spine of the fighter jets to Indian Air Force with a big advantage is there, big advantage. Very nice machine.
Okay. So before we let you go, Shivam, so I have intentionally kept the scope open so that we can have you again back on the show. We can talk more about the fighter jets. So I have intentionally kept that part of the discussion out of scope for today's discussion. Let's just before I let you go, just so do you have your bros? Are you still connected with your bros from your academy,
Yeah.
from your
All of them.
academy days?
All of them. All of them. There is no reason I'll ever get out of touch from them. I mean, I'll always be in touch with them. I'm in touch with all of them. All of them, 100%.
There is a friendship that you have had in college,
Yeah.
right? Then there is a friendship and the brotherhood that you have in the academy. Can you draw a parallel? Where does the difference between these two friendship lies?
Oh, this is totally
Is
brotherhood. This is not friendship. That's the
okay.
that's the main difference. With college mates, schoolmates, you have very close friendship, and they will help you whenever you want them to help you, and you will help them whenever you want to help them.
Hmm.
But this is brotherhood. This is beyond friendship. I mean, they can die for you. Even today, not literally they will die for me. When we say they will die for you, is that when you're actually flying missions with them, they're
Yeah.
ready to watch your six. They have your back. You have their back. Something like that. I mean, but this is next level of very close friendship. They will be there with you in your thick and thin and everything. And but I have some friends from college also and school also, like very few, like one two from college, one two from school, who are like this close. But when you come to the Air Force or Army or Navy, if your batch has 70 officers, then almost 80% will be that close to you. The rest 20% will be closer to some other guys like this. Everybody has
Hmm,
their
hmm,
own
hmm.
circle. Somebody is from the academy, NDA, so they will be closer to NDA course mates. Somebody is with me directly coming from college, and we directly go to FS Academy. We'll be much more closer. But the key stark difference between the friendship in the civil parlance and the military parlance is that the camaraderie, the brotherhood, the warmth is just like family. And you find that family kind of bonding in civil area with very few people. You do find. I still have very good friends which give me a family feeling, which are like brothers to me, but that is very rare in civil. But in military it has to be like this, because you're training day and night together. You're seeing each other getting they're working so hard, they're sweating, they're doing everything with you, they're doing rolling with you, they're doing punching with you, they're doing all that kind of ragda and drill, they're sweating out with you and all that. You all are rolling in mud on a rainy night, something like that. When you do these kind of things, which you will never do with civil people. I mean, in civil, can you even imagine that two friends of yours will together roll in the mud because your instructor is asking you to do it? No, it will not. But when you actually undergo these kind of hardships, hard training, tough training, and you are lifting each other, there is a punishment which is called mount each other, mount on him, mount on, mount on. So if I have a postmate, so the senior will say mount on him. So he'll mount on my shoulders, and then I'll have to run with him. So I can't drop him because he will also get injured. So these kind of things which are there in which you actually look after with each other, for each other's health and safety, it brings you very close to each other. So you can slowly and slowly see that that kind of friendship is very different. That is, you have actually in your career days slogged with each other, sweated with each other. You have not seen the weather, sunny, monsoon, anything day, night, or 2 o'clock in the evening, or sorry, in the afternoon or night. You all were together in that ragada, what we used to call. So you become very close. So that is something which will be different from civil parlance, but it is not expected out of civil parlance also because it is not there. So how can you expect that? You are not in an academy, you're just in a college. So college friendship, school friendship will be different. The academy friendship, the ragda friendship will be a totally next level. It's totally on another ecosystem.
So there are two things that you mentioned, that whether you and your friend will crawl in mud, or will someone carry you on your shoulder in a civil setup. I would say yes, but that's after that 14 pack pick that you had.
Which one?
And you mentioned that during your
Ah.
calling on you had that. So if in a civil setup someone has 14 pack, they will probably 14 packs, they will probably do it, but they won't be going to any other thing the next day.
Yeah.
They won't be sleeping at 2:30 and waking up at 5:30. So
Yeah.
it won't happen.
Yeah, I have very, very good friends in from my college and my school also. They are in US, they come to India, they meet me. Somebody's in Chandigarh, my friends who are working in Infosys Chandigarh, they were with me in college times. So I have some very close and good friends. We drink together, we have fun together. And I can't compare them with my Fauji's friends, brothers, and I can't compare my Fauji brothers vice versa with them. There is no point comparing. Friendship is friendship. So that college friendship, school friendship is very dear to me, very different. This brotherhood in which I have sweated with them is very different. They both have their own importance in my life.
Yeah.
They are both important.
So when flying high, I mean, obviously it gives you your testosterone levels are high, your adrenaline really rushing high. But is there also a feeling? How do I put it? Do you feel sometimes that okay, if things go wrong, this is the last thing that you know I will have a look at, or something can happen to me in a matter of seconds,
Yeah.
because you
So
have such high speeds.
yeah, it has happened. I mean, these kind of things definitely come in your life as a pilot, not just as a fighter pilot. Chopper pilots, their life is very, very dicey. They fly close to ground, and the closer you go to ground, you as flying, the closer you're flying to ground, the more riskier it is because you have less time to react. And chopper pilots, transfer pilots, they don't even have parachutes, ejection seats, nothing. So their flying is quite risky. Our flying is fast, risky, but we have safety mechanism with us. We fly high. We have ejection seats. We have parachutes. So these kind of instances comes in every pilot's life in military. That when you come to ground and say, "Today I just got saved somehow," uh, these are called emergencies, system malfunction, or your appreciation as a pilot went wrong in some particular maneuver, and you just escaped drastic stall or spin of the aircraft. So when you come to ground, you definitely ponder over your mistakes, or if there is a system malfunction, you definitely inform the engineer in charge, who is in the engineering section, that this is the fault with the aircraft. You need to look into, whom we call the senior technical officer. So these kind of instances come in every pilot's life, not just fighter pilot, every pilot's life, and they are a timely reminder to you that take me seriously. I mean, we are not meant to fly, to be honest. Human beings are not meant to fly. Only birds are meant to fly. We are flying, and we are doing something which is against the natural law of universe. We are not meant to fly because we don't have wings. When you do something which is against the natural laws of universe, it is challenging. You have to be very serious. You have to continuously train yourself. You have to be very brave, and you have to keep. Last but not least, you have to keep the nature of law of universe in mind, and you have to respect that at all times, because that is number one. Because the nature doesn't allow you to fly, but if you're doing something against nature, the universe, then you have to give him or her the top respect. So since you are not allowed to fly, meant to fly, and you're doing something against it, they they keep giving you timely reminders that this can happen to you. You are becoming complacent. Some people become complacent after 2-3 years of flying, that now I understood flying, I understand everything. This definitely comes, and that is when it gives you a reminder. Something will happen to the system, something will happen to your calculation, your appreciation while landing, while takeoff, or while chopper is hovering. Something will happen to you, and you will just escape it. And you will realize that is an immediate reminder to you, a very stark reminder to you that today I got complacent. I cannot do that. It has happened to people with 20 years experience as commanding officers. Sometimes they become complacent. So complacency, these kind of instances, this kind of surprise visits by the nature, reminding you, giving you reminders.
Yeah.
It doesn't see age, it doesn't see experience, it doesn't see aircraft, it doesn't see day, night, dawn, dusk. It will just see a human being sitting in a aircraft and it will give you a reminder. But when you get that reminder, how you take that reminder into your life, that is person to person. Some people get scared. Some people come down, revise, go through briefing sessions again, and the squadron also, the commanding also, flight commander, they also take you for some dual checks and all that. So yes, the answer to your question is that it has happened with me, it has happened with everybody, it will happen with everybody. It will continue happening. It's a continuous process. This will never stop. It's a machine after all, and machine is meant to fail because it's a machine. In fact, and this is made by humans. In fact, the best machine in the world is a human being, which is made by God. Even that fails. So something which is made by humans, that will definitely fail because we are not God, but still God's machine also fails. So finally, something which humans are making, this will fail. So you have to keep that in mind and not get scared of it. Machine is a machine, it will fail. Don't get scared of it. Come back, revise, wait, relax. There is a complete SOP that is followed when a pilot meets with some kind of incident like this system malfunction. There is a SOP. There is a complete court of inquiry that goes into what happened wrong, system malfunction, pilot appreciation problem, or some other issue. A pilot was fatigued, nobody in the squadron monitored that, something like that. Or there was a wrong call from the ATC. The traffic controller gave a wrong call. Instead of right turn, he told left turn, something like that. So whole court of inquiry process, the SOP, there is a complete list of checks and procedures that are put in place when a pilot meets with some kind of such emergency. And once everything is resolved, the pilot is given 1-2 dual checks with senior supervisors, instructors, commanding officers, and then he goes back to the sky. But it definitely comes in your life, and you should be ready for it. It will come because it's a machine. And then you just need to be brave enough and strong enough and follow the procedure, be calm, composed, and learn once again and go back to the sky and not commit the same mistake again. Beware.
So, what's the worst situation you have been into?
Oh, my worst situation was while flying MiG-21 once. There was a small problem with my appreciation and accompanied with a system malfunction during landing. So the landing was not good. It gave me some injury when it landed back to the ground. There was some damage to the aircraft and also. So that was the worst experience I had. But similarly, I told you that SOP was followed. Court of inquiry was ordered. What happened? There was something wrong with my appreciation and something was there which was associated with other problems also. But I got through the revision once again. I was flown with a senior instructor. I was very young. I was just 23 that time. I was in it was my first squadron, and I had flown about 30, 40 sorties only in MiG-21 till then. So I was flown with a senior instructor, supervisor, some sorties. Confidence came back. Then I started going solo once again. So that was, I would say, a reminder to me that I was getting easy with flying. And MiG-21 is something which is a very unforgiving aircraft. The other aircraft, which are now brand new and sophisticated aircraft, they have sophisticated systems with them. Like, for example, I give a very small example. Like Sukhoi uh, has a system which doesn't let it stall. It cannot stall. It can never stall. The moment the pilot is giving a wrong input to the control column, the stick, and it will lead to stall, the computer will take over. The computer
Okay.
automatically takes over and brings the aircraft from that regime, and it will never stall. But it's not with the MiG-21. Just a very small example. So, because it's an old aircraft, Sukhoi is a modern aircraft, now Rafale, Mirages, and all that. So that's why MiG-21 is a very unforgiving aircraft. You have to be very, alert while flying this aircraft. Every aircraft, as I say, when people ask me, is MiG-21 bad aircraft? So no. Every aircraft has a margin of error. Okay, and the margin of error with the technology, with the sophistication of equipments, with the sophistication of systems, it is increasing. So in MiG-21 that was less. So if you perform this much of error, the aircraft will be okay. If you go outside it, it will not forgive you. Something will happen. But now this margin of error is increased in Sukhoi like this, and in Rafale this. So it gives you more spectrum of errors because it has onboard equipments to overpower it or overcome it, and it will overdo. But that was not the case of in the case of MiG-21. So that's why in MiG-21, when you actually start taking flying easily, and MiG-21 is an easy aircraft, I've understood flying, it will immediately give you a reminder. That's what happened with me. I was very young, and those reminders come. And after that, everything was fine. I realized that, okay, this is something which cannot be taken light.
So when something of this sort happens, you come back, you thank God, and you just say that, okay, this was also a reminder that you need to take care of the machine that you're flying.
Yeah. So the first thought that generally comes to people when they have met with some kind of emergency system malfunction or incident or they eject is that are they fit and are they going to fly again or not? That's the first thought that crosses a pilot's mind.
Right.
That have I incurred or sustained a kind of an injury which will actually not allow me to fly ever? Is this a permanent injury? Something has happened to me. Some bone has broken. Some spine problem. Something like that. So that's the first thought that pilot actually thinks that comes to pilot's mind is that will I be able to fly again or not? So that is the first thought that comes. That and then you undergo a lot of medical tests, and then when the medical report comes and it declares you fit for flying, that is when you actually take a deep breath that okay, everything is fine. Sometimes it happens that after medical reports, they are not allowed to fly. The medical reports say that you can't fly ever. So that's the first thought that comes. Will I be able to fly again or not? That's the first thought that came to my mind also, and it's the first thought that comes to any pilot's mind whenever he meets with some crash or some incident or something like that. But then your squadron is there, which is like a family. Your commanding officer is a father figure. Your flight commander is also a father figure. They boost your morale. They keep you motivated. They take you for sorties as instructors. They once again bring your confidence back, and then you once again go in the air. It's a very slow process, very very slow and steady process. Once a pilot meets with an incident or crash or something like that, there is a very steady and very good process, smooth process that is being followed. The whole aim of this process is to bring the confidence of the pilot back, and he is confident of going to the sky solo once. But the first thought is always this: will I be going to skies once again or not?
Squadron leader Shivum Uppal. With this, we come to the end of the episode, and this was kind of a sortie for me,
Yeah.
where you are my commanding officer, and I would let you, test. I mean, let you make the judgment whether I was a good student or not, whether I did good or not in this sortie.
No. Totally my pleasure. You were wonderful. I enjoyed this conversation. I've never had this conversation so much of open heart with somebody about my life in Air Force. Only I think once before I had with somebody. But it's been long. I shared my life and journey about Air Force and being a fighter pilot, what it takes and all. I'm really thankful to you that you gave me this platform to discuss things, to share my experiences with you. So it was a pleasure for me, totally my pleasure. Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you so much.
Completely my honor. And have I earned my aviator? I'm just curious to know.
Raven, Aviator.
Yeah,
Come
have
to
I earned
Bangalore.
my aviator?
Definitely. If I come to Chandigarh, I'm getting you one. And if you come to Bangalore, take one from me.
Oh wow, definitely. Okay, call Squadron Leader Shivam. Thank you so much for being on the show. It's always an honor when we have someone from the military services, and I repeat myself every single time. Every time I have a discussion with someone from the military services, be it from the army, be it from the navy background, now for the first time with someone from Air Force. Uh, I am absolutely thrilled, and I am absolutely filled with honor and respect. These are the best conversations for me.
We
These are
actually
the
appreciate.
best conversations for me.
I appreciate your words. It's good defending people, our countrymen and women, country persons who have high regards for defense services. It actually gives us a feeling that we have done something good in life. And hearing these kind words from you actually um, motivates the next generation, to be honest. Because
Thank you so much, sir. Not for just being on the show, for being you and being, in the Air Force services. Uh, because you guys are there, we can, sleep in peace. So
it's totally
thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir.
yeah, my pleasure.
And thank you.
Bye, Ronik. Take care. Bye.